G'day, Nigel here. Well, welcome to our June legend announcement. I love announcing our legends in Sax School, and that's really important to us because the Sax School legend is our way, the team and I, that we can celebrate one of our members who is doing amazing things, either with the progress they're making in their playing or the way they're inspiring other members as well. So it's something that's really important to us. And this month we wanted to do something a little bit different, actually. We wanted to not just announce one legend, but announce 3 legends, because there's 3 people in our membership who have been doing amazing things together. I think really inspiring and really creative and a lot of fun. So this month for June, I'm really excited to announce our 3 legends, Barrie Fox, Dave Skinner, and Steve Smith. So guys, hey, congratulations. Thanks for being our legends for June.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
An honor.
3 legends, fantastic. I love the videos that you're making all together, and but the Pick Up the Pieces one was the most recent one. Oh, it's fantastic. And actually, every time you do one of these, I can see they're getting better and better and better. I mean, they're all great, but you must be learning a lot in that process.
Yeah, we learn it all off the old boy, you know.
Well, we started with your lesson, actually, is what we started. Barrie had, I think it was you, Barrie, right? You had the idea to do that?
Yeah.
And a rare good idea from Barrie. And then we went for that and worked together, and we all learned something from doing that, Nigel. It's just fantastic fun and good learning too.
Yeah, well, actually, I thought, what was that, Steve?
I said he learns how to be patient.
Well, I thought the playing was great on it, all of it, the ensemble playing and the solos, and obviously the video editing is great too. And I'm sure lots of other members, I mean, to be honest with you, I think that's the most comments we've had on any video in the members area, like 150 comments on that video, which is awesome. And I bet there's a lot of people who are watching that, who might be new to Sax School, who are thinking, man, these guys are like so far ahead of where I am at the moment, just starting out in saxophone. But doing these videos together has been a learning process, right? So I know you all come from different places in your playing, and I want to have a chat with you about that. But maybe, Steve, can you tell me about how you got the first one of these group videos together? How did the process happen?
Well, it started off with me and Barrie, really. I mean, we tried a few things out and kept trying to get different people involved. And then Barrie sort of said a couple of times about getting Dave to come and join us, but he's always out gigging, and then when he got locked down, it's sort of, let's go for it. So yeah, that's how they got drawn into it.
I actually had to beg them to get in. It was almost an anti-American plot at one point, but they finally let me in.
Yeah, he sat there and said that he was just dying to be a reprobate. I mean,
there you go.
That's right.
Please, can I join, please?
Oh, we had to work on him a bit to get the hat bit right. He's had a couple of goes for the hat work properly.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I noticed you all got matching outfits now, the hat and the glasses. Yeah, fantastic. So, Dave, like we just mentioned, you're out doing gigging, and I know we spoke a while back because you have even put your own CD out, maybe more than one. I know you've definitely done one. Yeah. Give us a quick background on where you're up to with your playing. Because actually, I should say too, all 3 of you guys have been with Sax School for ages, like 4 years or so?
2016 in my case.
2016. I think it's the same for you, Barrie, too, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and Steve.
Like within 2 weeks of getting my saxophone, I joined Sax School, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, which is incredible. So, yeah, the whole journey with playing has been with Sax School, which is fabulous. Yeah. And so, Dave, you're out actually playing gigs and doing lots of different things. Tell us a bit about where you're up to with your playing.
So I started playing when I was young. Picked up the clarinet first and the alto when I was about 10. And then played an awful lot in high school with different bands and so forth, and then in college as well. Then gave it up for 36 years while I figured out a way to pay the mortgage. And then when I retired 5 years ago, one of the first things I did was pick the horn back up out of the case, played it for a short while, and then joined your group. And once I did that, it was inspiring to begin, going through some of the lessons, trying to get the tone back and so forth. And from that point, pretty close to not a day goes by that I don't see something on the site or use it in some way or shape or form.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you're playing some quite advanced stuff. I saw a video you put up the other day. You're blowing through a jazz standard. I mean, you sound great. Great improvising. You've got a great sound. And you, apart from the Reprobates thing, you go out and do some gigs, right? What sort of gigs do you do?
Yeah. Couple of different types. I play, I love big band music. I play in 2 of the area big bands. And I also play some quartet jazz stuff, you know, real standardy kind of place in a jazz lounge. There's an iconic place here called the Jazz Corner, which is a great jazz club. Play there sometimes. And then I get the odd blues gig or the odd R&B type gig. And I love to do that too. But jazz is cool. Jazz is
it?
love.
That's interesting because the album that you put out there was a lot of sort of more commercial music on there. Was that something you're dabbling with, or is that another thing that you're interested in?
No, I like that stuff too.
Yeah.
But that came a little bit later. So what I really wanted to do was put that out, and if I have a chance to do another one, it'll be my take on some standards.
Yeah, cool.
I didn't want that to be the first one. I wasn't sure how it would come out.
Yeah, it was. It's an interesting and lengthy and sometimes difficult process making a CD. So, yeah, fantastic. So, and then Barrie, I know we've spoken a few times, and obviously we met at the Weekender and hung out for those 2 days. And all the way along, it's been great to see your journey. Like you said, you started at the same point that you started Sax School when you first started with saxophone, but I know that you're out playing with some local musicians, obviously not at the moment during lockdown, but tell everybody about the sort of gigging playing that you've been doing.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to get the opportunity to play with a couple of professionals just in a local hotel in the next village. They live in that village, and they sort of offered to the pub that they go down and play for a couple of hours in the afternoon, outside originally in the summer. And pal of mine plays guitar very well and joined them. And then I got a chance to play one sort of shaky number, which I did, just noodling around in the background. And yeah, then they were very, very supportive, and away we went. And sort of it was like hold your nose and jump in the deep end, really. And so it has been fantastic, and I've learned an awful lot very, very quickly. I've been very fortunate, but they put up with it. You know, they have kind of stuck with me, and they let me do whatever I want to do, good or bad. And yeah, it's been a great experience, and I really miss it now because we were looking forward to the summer. And but I never know, they never have a playlist. You never know what he's going to play, what the lead singer's going to call out to play. He just says, right, we'll do this now. And you think, oh, Christ, I've not done that one before. And then you just, you know, using all the stuff from Sax School, pick up on the old pentatonic scales and just noodle along, and then sort of blow it a bit louder when I think I got half a chance of doing something, you know. But it's been really good. It's been really, really good for me. I absolutely thoroughly enjoy it, you know, and it's a shame it stopped, but you know, it'll come back at some point.
It'll come back. It will come back. And I think what's important for everybody else who's watching this to realize is that you're kind of glossing over it and making it sound like you're just sort of fumbling your way through. But the really cool thing about that whole process, Barrie, is that you pushed yourself out there to go and meet those people. I don't think you're afraid of talking to people, but you know, you went and you talked to these people and you got the opportunity to play, and then you persevered with it. I know we had a few emails backwards and forwards and a few things that you're asking about. So what I'm trying to say is, when you make that first leap to go out and play with people, there's a massive learning curve, isn't there? Yeah. And you've worked through that now, and you're starting to see the benefits of all the work that you've done. So I think it's brilliant. It's a great starting point. I mean, I remember when I started going out and meeting musicians and playing with them, and it's a big step because, like you said, you don't always know what song is going to be played. You can't prepare. You know, You can go and learn music at home, but in a live situation, you need to be prepared in lots of different areas because you don't know what's coming. So I think it's great. Good on you.
And also, I think when you play, you're your own. You think you sound awful, but that's not how it's coming over to other people. So you sort of play. You play something and you think, oh God, that was terrible, and everyone's, oh, that was great, well done. You know, we'll do a bit more, and that was good. You know, so yeah, you gotta just never say no. I think, you know, I think that I tend to always want to say yes before I say no.
Yeah.
Except
Well,
if Dave Skinner asks me something, and I always say no first and then yes afterwards.
Oh. So, Steve, tell us a bit about your background musically, because you are playing saxophone, but you're also playing banjo, you're playing double bass, you're doing all sorts of stuff. What's your background with music?
Well, it started off, God, blimey, a long time ago. I started having piano lessons. I can't remember when, too long ago, and messing around with the guitar. With a mate of mine he actually worked for me. We started doing Beatles stuff. He was a bit obsessed with them, so he was doing it rather precise. But anyway, we sort of done all that. That was quite a learning curve. I wasn't any good at it, but it was good. And then we sort of moved on with that. And the piano teacher was great. He was a really weird guy, but he was funny. And then I lived up in Shropshire at the time, and they decided to run a jazz. It was a course that they ran in Shrewsbury that was run by Birmingham Uni. It was just a jazz course, and my wife saw it in the paper and said, "Why don't you try for this?" So, like Barry's just said, I thought I can't do that, but I'm going. Anyway, we had to go and have this audition, so I went in on the piano. And that sort of started it off, and I got through it but there was 3 other piano players there who were just like mind-blowingly good. They were brilliant. And then was
this like a full-time course, or was this something?
No. It was we'd done 2 evenings a week, and every month we had a whole day on a Saturday doing practical stuff. Yeah, so we had to we'd done the jazz history, well, music history, but it was blues and jazz and all the rest of it. And we had to do composition. We've done transcribing and all that sort of stuff. And then, so once a month on a Saturday, we went in all day and it was all playing. And that's when it all went a bit wrong, because we started playing, and so these other guys on the keyboard blew me away. They were just brilliant. And then some other person in the room decided to tell the guy who's running the place that I could play bass, which I couldn't. And I ended up sort of getting told I was playing the bass. So I went from like fumbling around at home to sort of nearly degree grade on a bass in 3 years.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. See, sometimes adversity, that's where things come from. So yeah. That's fantastic.
So I'd done that, and I mean, the guy who taught us was a tenor player. He played with Sonny Rollins and all sorts of up there people. And I always wanted to have a go, and I bought a saxophone, Yamaha tenor it was, and I fumbled around on it, and then it got shoved in the attic for 10 years. We ended up down here, and I got it out of the box and thought, I'm going to try it, and it either works or I'm selling it. And I had some lessons, and I sort of gelled with it a bit, and the guy who taught me was into sort of standards and stuff, and I wanted to play something different, which is when I found you, really, because I was, I can't remember what song it was. It was an Elvis thing my mum liked, Always on My Mind, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I looked on the internet, and your lesson was there, so I tried it. And then it sort of went from there. I ended up joining Sax School, and off I went.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow. So actually, it's great. Coming from all those other instruments would really be helping you with saxophone, but with all the music in general, because it fills out all those gaps in your knowledge, and particularly when you're doing, the stuff you're doing with well, maybe I remember studying music history and I never thought it would be that useful, but it does come in handy. Certainly the arranging and composition, all that sort of stuff, it all comes in handy, particularly when you're doing things like preparing charts or sorting out the arrangement for the things you're doing at Sax School now. Yeah, it's great. Just helping to fill out your knowledge in general. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I probably got from the bass thing was the rhythm side of it, because obviously that is what a bass player does. So I got that. One of the guys on the course was a pro drummer, and he took me in a side room a few times. So I learned quickly, but it stood me in good stead, because you know, feeling the rhythm and the beats, something I don't really have a problem with.
Well, yeah, there you go. Because you know, you're right. You need to have good rhythm when you're playing bass, but you also understand the harmony of a tune, right? Because that's your other role. So yeah, fantastic. So okay, so when you go to put together one of these group videos, where does the process start?
Well, we sort of we have a discussion about what we want to do, and then we try to take it in turns with picking a song. And you know, me and Barry done a load of me doing vocals and all that sort of stuff. And I sort of said, "Oh, let's try something different next time. Do something funky." And then he said, "Well, let's do Uptown Funk." And that's when Dave joined us after we'd done the last Van Morrison thing. And of course, he was up there and we were down there as far as that one goes. But yeah, we just sort of jumped on it. But we try to sort of share it up. I mean, we're doing another one now that Dave's chosen.
Okay.
Which is completely different again. So we try to mix it up a bit.
And do you guys work out? Does somebody work out the music then? Does somebody prepare charts, or how do you?
On the Uptown Funk, obviously there was a lesson that was in Sax School, so we based everything around the lesson in Sax School. It was a real eye-opener, because obviously Dave brought in a different level of precision and timing and all those things which, you know, we hear about and read about, but if you don't practice it with someone who's right up there, you know, or, you know, who's right on it, you don't really notice the differences. So Uptown Funk, for me anyway, was quite a challenge because of the discipline of getting, actually, if your technique's not good, you can't produce it. You know, it's like whatever you do, you can get away with all sorts of things, but ultimately your lack of technique will limit whatever you're going to achieve. So it was a bit of a learning curve there for me. I had to really step back to quite a few things to get that one under my belt. And the next progression from Uptown Funk was obviously pick up the pieces. Well, my goodness me, that was.
Tell you what, though, Barry. I tell you what, your rhythm was very good in that, though. Yeah, it was.
You know, nevertheless, that was really challenging. And the great thing about having Dave with us is that he takes no prisoners. So if he's not happy with it, you know, he says, no, we need to do this, but in a nice way. You know, I've paid him plenty of money, so he's kind of nice. He used to Steve.
Taught me everything I know, Barry. You know.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, it's so that's, yeah. With that, we used the basis we used from the lessons from Sax School, and then we got Dave put down the lines for us, so we had a bass to follow from, and we transcribed it. We didn't have any sheet music for that. We transcribed that side of it, and then Steve and I would compare what our transcriptions were to make sure that they were a little bit in line. And we, you know, it's the old building block process, really. You know, one step at a time, get that lined up, and then we just went away and worked on it and kept sending the things backwards and forwards and getting them knocked back by the boss. He kept throwing.
You know, the trick is, you can imagine, Nigel, is playing it in a tight way. Yeah. Which means not just hitting the notes, but hitting the articulations and the dynamics exactly together. And so that takes a little bit of time for us to work that through.
Absolutely. And you know, that's the thing that you get as a player when you play in any sort of ensemble. I actually think it's harder doing what you guys are doing because you're remote, but going and playing in a community band or playing with a local musicians in some sort of group where you're gigging, you get that chance to get direct feedback on your own playing, but also you get inspired by the rhythm of the players that are around you. So I like what you said, Barry, about having the opportunity to play with somebody who's ahead of you pulls you along. right?
Yeah.
So you're getting that inspiration from Dave. And that's the same thing that you get when you go out and play in a community band or something. So I think that's fantastic. And yeah, you're right. It's that extra level of precision when you start to really focus in on the rhythms that you understand. I think once you start to record and then you listen back to it all together, you suddenly get an appreciation for why rhythm is so important, because it's not until you fine tune all of that that it starts to sound like the sort of things that you're used to hearing on records. It's not as easy as it first appears. But I think you guys are doing really, really great. I could talk to you guys all day, but I thought that something that might be helpful for people watching is just to hear your thoughts for, let's say there was, we've got a Sax School student who is just getting started with saxophone, and they're right at the beginning of their journey like you were, Barrie, and they're looking at what you guys are doing, which is like, seems light years ahead of them. What would you three say to them to encourage them? What would be your best advice for the way to get things moving with their playing?
Shall I go first?
Yeah,
Go for it, Barrie.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say is that, the first thing is to not beat yourself up over whatever you're doing. It's not going to happen straight away, and you've got to just follow the processes. You're going to get squeaks and noises. Like we've all done that. Whatever you experience, everyone that's moved into even the middle level, which is where I am, we've all experienced those things. Pretty much everything that I've ever come across that's a problem is in Sax School somewhere. So the answer is somewhere in Sax School. You haven't got to go anywhere else, really, to be honest. And if you can't find it in Sax School, the community will give you plenty of support and advice. But I think the thing is to not get frustrated with the time it may take. Sometimes, I play things for days and days and days and days, and still it doesn't come right. Then all of a sudden it just comes right. I don't kill myself over it. I don't get fed up with it. I just quietly relax. Okay, it's not going to happen, and come back to it. So wherever you think you might get to, doesn't matter. Just enjoy the journey, and you'll get to somewhere. And I just think that's the one real thing I think has got me through it, because I'm very patient with stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's great advice, because I know a lot of people are not patient and they get frustrated when things aren't moving ahead. Particularly, I think for adult learners, there's that sense that you want to be making music quickly, and it can be frustrating when you can't, because we all come and go. Look, I do. This week, my project for myself this week sounds a bit random, but I've been transcribing some Whitney Houston songs and trying to play like Whitney Houston, because actually that's really hard. I find that really, really hard. So everyone's got roadblocks, including me. So you're right, being patient and working through it really, really helps. What about you, Steve? What would you say?
Well, what Barrie said, spot on. The only other thing that, I'm still doing it in a big way now is don't forget the core skills. Whatever I'm doing up with the songs, I still go back and do like the pentatonics workout. I'm spending ages doing overtones at the moment. I still do long tones every time I pick my sax up to start. The whole thing, you can't function playing songs unless you've got the skills to do the basic stuff, as in any other profession or whatever. So yeah. I think you've got to, as you've advocated, you've got to split your practice time up and do a bit of the basics, do some scales, do some long tones, do some overtones. You don't have to kill yourself over it, but 10 minutes of that, then move on. And the only other thing I think is quite important is when you start a song or a project, try to finish it. Don't sort of go 60%, oh, that will do, I'm doing the next one. Because you're not actually developing as a player unless you try to see it right through. And okay, it might not be brilliant, but you learn from it right through to the end. And then you can listen back on it later and think, I can do better than that because I've learned this. And then you've got a chance to go back and do it again.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So consistency and following through to the end, like setting a goal with a piece, following all the way through. That's brilliant advice. Fantastic. You got anything else to add to that, Dave?
Well, at the risk of agreeing with Barrie, I thought he hit those points really well. I would start with the script. Yes, and I think the Sax School is magic for people who are starting out because it's such a supportive community, and a safe place to put your videos out there. And I think it's just, you know, kind of stick with it. And I just think the Sax School starter pathway onto the videos, all that stuff, I just think that's the best way forward.
Awesome. Well, look, thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate all of you, because you know what? Our community is amazing because of you guys, because of people like you, you know, contributing and supporting other members and doing great music that inspires other people. That's what it's all about for me. So it's been wonderful for me to be a part of your journey as you're going through. And also great to see how you're, you know, inspiring all those other members who are coming up behind you. So awesome. Well done for being our legends. And nice to have a chat with you.
Thank you.
All right. Don't forget, guys, if you're watching this, make sure you do pop in and leave a comment below and let these guys know how much you appreciate them too. Okay. Keep practicing hard. I'll catch you next time.